All right, welcome back. In this lesson, what we're going to do is take the layout that we created, which is, for me, I did the strokes as an example. We took that, we sliced it up in the following lesson. So we spit out an HTML file with a bunch of sliced up images. And then I went through a lesson of introducing you to Dreamweaver. Now, at this point, you should have an understanding of HTML and CSS, and also you should have watched the Intro to Dreamweaver lesson, as well as creating the base layout, branding, gathering assets, and actually applying the branding to our layout. So this is all sequential. All these things are going to add up. So having said that, let's get into this lesson. So right here I have my HTML file, and it's got a few issues. I've got this text right here that doesn't really belong, doesn't really match up here with the layout. The other thing is it kind of just cuts out this background of the crowd here. And so I need to change both the background and the type. Also the alignment, you'll notice it's kind of centered vertically. I want this to be at the very top vertically. Okay, and as well as this footer as well. So what I'm going to do is go into Dreamweaver. I have this other project open up right now. I'm just going to close it out. And I want to go, there's a couple ways I can do this. Either from the welcome screen, I can click Dreamweaver Site, or down here, I can go down and choose Manage Sites. Since I did Manage Sites last time, I'll show you this way. So in the welcome screen, click Dreamweaver Site. If you don't have a welcome screen, then you can go to File. Is it under File? Let's see here. I don't think it is. And I'm getting the spinning beach ball. So if you don't have this welcome screen, then you may need to do it this way. So I'll do this way first. Click this. And again, depending on the version, this might look a little different. If you're using CS4 or below, you want to click Advanced. If you're using CS5 and up, then you probably will see these similar types of options. So I'm going to type in the strokes for my site name, and then I'm going to tell it where that's located. So it's under CSS Touchup, Slices. I'm going to hit Choose, hit OK. And it's thinking. Now, if you didn't get this welcome screen, you'll need to click on this drop down here, choose Manage Sites, click New, and then go through the same process I just did. But I already have it up, so I'm going to click Done. Here are my files. I'm going to go ahead and double click here. So here is my page. Now at this point I can't really see the full thing, so I need to go down to where it says 100%, choose something like 50, and now I can see the whole layout. Okay, in this lesson we will be getting into some HTML and CSS. So like I said earlier, you do need to have some knowledge of those two languages. So I'll just give a brief overview of all the things I'm going to do. I need to change the background so that it's black to match my layout. I want to center this layout because right now, as I expand, it's left aligned, and that's kind of old school. We want it to look a little bit more modern, make it centered. I want to change these cells to actually have background images. I want to make this type white and set it to Arial. And I want to get rid of this little margin, this gap right here. And then also I want to change the name of the site. So I'll start with the title first. So where it says title, I'm going to change this to the strokes. Press tab. And okay, that's not working, so I'll hit enter. And it updates my title tag right here. Now one other thing I did in the last lesson is I updated the font. and it seems to have changed it back for me. So okay, code should be a bit more readable now. So you notice it updated the type in between the title tags when I changed it up here. Okay, to create CSS on the same page without creating a separate CSS document, you'll want to do that inside of or in between the opening and closing head tags. So I'm going to go here, type style, and put some spaces in there. So everything between these style tags is going to be CSS code. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is affect the entire body. So the body is what's producing this white background. And actually, as you can see here, Photoshop threw in this little line of code here where it says BG color equals FFFFFF, blah, blah, blah. That is actually an old-fashioned way of setting our colors. That's how we style colors using HTML, and that is not really desirable. So I'm going to delete that code so I just have the body tag. Now yours might not have that, so don't worry about doing that part. Now if I want to select the body, I'll just briefly explain the anatomy or the syntax of CSS. First thing we type is the selector. So this is going to be the name of the HTML tag that we're affecting. So if we're affecting the body tag, we just type body. If we're affecting the table tag, we type table. If we're affecting a table cell, we type TD. Okay, later we'll get into classes and IDs, but for now, that's just the name of the tag. Next we have these curly brackets, which contain all the styling that we want to apply to that selector. So everything we type in here, whether it's the color or the background or font size, is going to affect the body tag and everything inside the body tag. So the first thing I want to do is change the background. So I'm going to type background, and then as soon as I type the colon, it's going to give me all the choices for the value of that attribute. So background is the attribute, and there are many attributes, and each attribute has values. So I'm going to choose color, and Dreamweaver gives me a nice, quick, cool, easy way to choose colors. So I can use my arrow keys to go up and down and choose one of these options. So I'm going to go to color, hit enter, and it's going to bring up this color picker. So I want to click on the black, which the hexadecimal color for black is 000, or you could type 3 more zeros and it's the same thing. And then a semicolon. Semicolon is just like the end of a sentence. It just marks the end of that particular attribute and value. So now I haven't seen it update over here, so I have to click on the design view. Now my background is black. So very cool. However, with a black background, I can no longer see my text because my text is also black. So the next thing I need to do is after this curly bracket, not inside, after, actually, sorry about that, indeed inside the curly brackets, I'm going to go down one line from this semicolon, and I'm going to type color. Color is the attribute that affects the color of the text and nothing else. So colon, I want that to be white, so I can actually use my arrow keys and toggle through all these swatches. Choose white, which the code for that is FFF. Hit enter. Now anytime you're typing a color, you need this little hashtag or number sign or pound sign. Absolutely necessary to have that. If you don't have it, it probably will not work. So I'm going to type semicolon, and when I click over here, my text is now visible. Very cool. Next thing I want to do is change the typeface. Now by default, all pages tend to get Times New Roman as the font. So I want to change that to Arial. So I'm going to hit return after this one, type font dash family, and you'll notice as I'm typing, it's updating this list right here. And what that does is it allows me to type in part of the name of the attribute and just hit enter, and it will finish typing it out for me. So if I just type font-fa, hit enter, it completes it with family. Now this is a list of web-safe fonts that is automatically included. So I'm going to go down with my down arrow key, select Arial, hit return, type semicolon. Now my type has been updated to be Arial now. So very cool. Okay, the next thing I want to do is get rid of this gap here. And that is caused by web browsers automatically adding a margin on their web page, and that's just to give the text a little bit of space for people who are just typing code so it just doesn't hit the very edge here. But to get rid of that, I'm going to type margin :0, semicolon. And now that's going to get rid of that gap. Okay, I am done making all the changes I want to make to the body tag. Next thing I want to target is this table. I want to make this table centered in the page. Now the way you do that is a little counterintuitive. You'd think there would be some kind of command that says center, and there is, but that doesn't quite do what we want. So the way we do this is now, after this curly bracket, because this curly bracket indicates all the changes to make to the body, I want to make sure I'm outside of that. I'm going to type table, curly brackets, and then I'm going to hit return and type margin, : and I will type auto, semicolon. Now when I click there, it's not really doing it in Dreamweaver, but if I preview it in a browser, it should center it. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to click the globe icon and preview it in Safari. So now I scroll down and I've got this type here, which is cool. It's highlightable. And if I expand my window, this is now centered on the page, just as I want. And these are clickable. All right, so the last couple things I want to do is 1, add a little bit of spacing here, 2, cause this text to go up to the top, and 3, add the crowd back in for the background for these cells. And that's actually going to require me going back into Photoshop to add that background. So I'll deal with these other 2 issues first. So up until now, I've been targeting things by typing in the name of the tag. However, sometimes you'll have an instance where you have many tags with the same name. So I've got a TD tag here, a TD tag here, TD tag here. So if I'm going to attempt to change this styling by typing TD, it's going to affect every single TD in the entire page. So the way we get around that is by giving certain elements in our page a class or an ID. And classes and IDs do very similar things, but generally with IDs you only want to have an element of a particular ID one time in the page, whereas you can have many elements with the same class. So that's the one we're going to go with. So in Dreamweaver, if you want to select a particular cell, you just hold down the Command key and just click where you want to go. And you'll notice as I'm clicking different parts on this page, it's highlighting different code here, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to click here, and this is that particular TD. Now right now it doesn't have any class, so inside of this tag, just anywhere, I need to have spaces around it, but I can type class equals, and I need to give it a class name. So I'm just going to call this drummer-info, and that's it. So again, this class can be anywhere within this opening tag as long as I have a space. So if it just says TD class, it's not going to work. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the next cell. And I'm going to give this a class of guitarist-info. And then go here and call this one singer-info. Okay, so now I've labeled them. Now that I've labeled them, I can go back up to my style and I can target them. So to target this first one, since I gave it a class of drummer-info, I have to type dot, which anytime I type a dot in this particular instance, it means I'm referring to something with the name of, or the class name of, drummer-info. Okay, so by putting that dot there, it means I've put in class equals whatever this is. If it just said drummer info, it would look for something with a tag name of drummer info the same way it would look for the table tag or the body tag. So that dot is extremely important. And then the rest is pretty similar. So the first thing I want to do is tell it to have a little bit of padding here on the right. So I'm going to do padding -right, and let's say 20 px. Now this may cause some issues. Let me check real quick. Actually, it didn't. Okay, the reason I was concerned about it giving us issues is a lot of times when you have a table, which right here we have a table, if you change the width or height of any of the cells, it can cause the alignment of all the other ones to get messed up. But since this cell, we've already set the height and the width in the HTML, I think by adding padding, it's not actually going to increase its overall width and height. So I think we're safe. So by adding padding there, it keeps it from running right into that cell. Next thing I want to do is change its vertical alignment. So I'm going to type vertical, and it already has selected that one. So I'm going to hit enter, vertical -align. I want to choose top. Enter, semicolon, and now it's up against the top. Now I want the exact same styling for these other two cells. Well, almost. Well, I'm trying to decide how much padding I want on this right one. But since they're going to be pretty similar, I'm going to save some time by just copying and pasting this. And copying and pasting is something you can do a lot in code to save time. So these ones are not called drummer-info, they're called guitarist-info and singer-info. So I'm going to change the name of this to guitarist, and as soon as I refresh, you notice this one gets those same changes applied to it. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one, singer-info, and voila. Okay. Now, technically, we probably would want this text to line up with the edge of these images. So now I'm just going to go in and fine-tune the padding. So probably going to make that 50, and maybe even more. Maybe 60. Heck, I'm going to try 80. There we go. So now it's kind of contained along that edge there. So since I know all these images are the same width, I'm going to apply that same padding to them as well. And there you have it. Okay, lastly, I want to change the background images of these. So this process is going to take a few more minutes. So as I said before, I've got to go back into Photoshop. So I'm going to go there, and here is my layout. Now what I have to do is re-export these cells but with no text on them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is select this text layer and turn it off, and also turn off the subheader. I'm going to do that for all three of these. So now what I'm going to do is export these images as background images. Except I'm going to export in the same way as I did the other images, but the way that we incorporate them is using a CSS background image. So I'm going to select this by holding Command right and clicking. And again, I'm in the Slice tool. Right click, Edit Slice Options. Now at first I set it to say no image and put the text in there because that's what I wanted. I wanted to have text in there. But unfortunately, Dreamweaver doesn't give you the option to do what we're doing automatically. So we have to kind of go and do it in 2 steps. So I'm going to go in and set it to image. And I'm going to call this drummer-bg. And I don't need to really put anything else here. I'm going to Command click, right click, Edit Slice Option, choose image. This one I'm going to call it guitarist-bg. BG as in background. And one more time, Command click, right click, Edit Slice Options, image, singer-bg. Okay, so now that I've done those, I'm going to go to File, Save for Web and Devices, and this time I actually want to select only these 3 images. So I'm going to hold Command. Actually, that's not, they kind of changed it a little here. So I guess since we're already in the Slice Select tool, we just hold down Shift and Shift click those so that these are the only ones that are outlined in brown. Everything else you should see blue outlines everywhere. So those are the 3 cells I want to select. Going to go hit Save. Now this time, under Format, I only want images. Images only. Okay, because otherwise it's going to spit out a whole new HTML file. So images only, and then instead of all slices, I just want selected slices. And I want it to be at the root level of where all my files are. I don't actually want to click on the images file. I want to click slices, or whatever you named your folder. I'm going to hit Save. And what that did is if I check my images folder, it saved a, let me see here, let me make sure it saved it. I'm actually not seeing it there. Here it is. Drummer.bg. So there's that background image without any text. And then guitarist-bg and singer-bg. So there are those images. So now what I'm going to do, go back into Dreamweaver, and let's see. Yeah, I don't think they let you choose a background image here. So I actually have to go through and set the background images in the CSS. So for the drummer info, I'm going to type background, colon, and instead of choosing color, I'm going to choose URL. So I'm going to hit return. I'm going to go through, find that image. And actually, yeah, it is in a different folder. So I have to go back and move those files really quick because I actually have 2 duplicates of this whole file structure. So I'm going to go click on those. Let's see, where's the other one? Guitarist. Okay, these 3 images, I'm going to drag them over 2. Okay, and this is why file locations and folder structures are really important. So let me try that one more time. URL. And there we go, drummer BG. And semicolon. So what it's done is it's automatically typed out the right syntax for me. So that's URL, parenthesis, the file path. So it's in the images folder, and then the name of the image, which is drummer-bg.jpg. Close parentheses, semicolon. So now, if you look here, I now have that crowd in the background there. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 cells. So guitarist info, background, URL. I'm going to choose guitarist-bg. That's it, semicolon. Now the same thing here. Background, URL, images, singer-bg, and semicolon. And ta-da, I've got a nice cool background now. So I'm going to save this file, and then I'm going to preview it, although I think I already have it open. So if you already have your site open already, you just have to refresh it. And now when I scroll down, you'll see that my text is white on that crowd background. And let's do one more thing, and that is to make some of this text linkable and to style our links. So I'm going to highlight these first couple words, here. And in Dreamweaver, there's a couple ways I can make it into a link. I can either just go down, type in a link here in the Properties panel, or I can click Hyperlink under Insert. So I'm just going to type it here. I'm just going to have it go to, I'm sure the Strokes have a site called thestrokes.com. So press Tab, and then for the target, I want that to be blank. So right now, the way it formats links, by default, is it makes it blue and underlined, which does not look good in this setting. So what I want to do is change the way all links appear on my site. So since a link is created inside of an A tag, as you'll see here, href equals thestrokes.com, I'm going to style all my A tags. So I'm going to type A and curly brackets, color, and I can actually go and, oh, are you kidding me? It won't let me sample from here. So I got to click this color wheel, then I have to click this magnifying glass. This is just in Mac. But I'm going to click that color, hit OK, and it gives me the hex color code for that yellow. Now it's giving me some more issues. There we go. Okay, now if I scroll down, my link is now yellow. And I don't particularly like the way things look underlined. So to get rid of an underline, you type text-decoration and then choose none. And I'd like to see it bold. So the way you do that is type font-weight and then type bold. So now it's bold, not underlined, and yellow. So I'm going to hit save, go back, refresh. Now I've got this link here. I'm going to click on it. That takes me to the Strokes official site. There they are. And that concludes this lesson. So hope you enjoyed it. And actually, you know what? I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and link the footer here where it says Jonathan Early. Usually you want to link back to your portfolio site. That's a good way to attract customers and also help boost your search engine results. So link to http://jonathanearly.com and set the target to blank. Hit save, refresh. Now my name is linkable. And that will take you to my website. All right, thanks.